All right, family. We black again with the general. You already know you're getting that fire commentary, international, national politics, local politics too. But family, we need to get up out of the local, expand into the national, the regional, the international, and get a global understanding of what's going on around us. And talking about the war over in the Persian Gulf between the United States, the Israelis, and Iran, the Arab Gulf states, and we're asking the question: Has Donald Trump, has the Israelis catapulted Iran into the place of a new major world power? Because the one thing that they have seemingly right now, seemingly, is control over the Strait of Hormuz. You see, and I mean, ships ain't been able to pass through there. They ain't been able to pass through there, and they saying if you want to pass through there, you're gonna have to pay them $2 million a ship. You know, they charging you $2 million a ship to get to get your shipment through there. Okay, so they didn't have that before the war. They was overseas, and people was just saying that, like, wow. I mean, so you know what is really going on behind the scene? Are they that naive? Is the Trump administration that naive? You see, to have done that? Nah, you know, my thing is, like I said, you can't in 2 months. You know, people talking about you can't judge nothing in no damn 2 months. You know, and all the cards ain't been played. Now, if they play a couple of them Joker cards, in which I said, you know, that if they play them Joker cards, and like I said, there is some Joker cards, two Jokers that have not been played. Now, again, to my understanding, and if I'm wrong, I would like for you to explain to me where I'm wrong at, because but to my understanding, uh Iran is still exporting oil through the Strait of Hormuz, out through the Persian Gulf, into the Arabian Sea, into the Indian Ocean. They still, they're still exporting oil. So that card right there has not been played. They could shut that down immediately. You see, in order to go to war, you got to have money. Okay, you got to have money. You can't go no damn war if you can't replenish the stockpile. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got medicine. You ain't got these things. You see, and so Ukraine is a perfect example of that. Once that money run out, you're done for. You could throw in the towel. And so people understand that everything is it operates around money. Period. How much money is being made? Russia was in trouble for a minute. You see what I'm saying? They over there, you understand? They put tariffs on their gas over there. But now they booming now. They booming now because Iran is, what's going on in the Persian Gulf. So Russia is making a couple dollars now, and people talking about that. That's another thing that people say. Well, damn, you now you done gave Russia more money. Now they booming. Now they could keep their machine rolling over there in Ukraine. They can pay, they got that means you can make more ammunition. That means you can pay more soldiers. You could do things when you got money. So the one of the cards that has not been played is shutting off Iran's ability to export oil, gas. Okay, that's one card that has not been played, and they know that the main customer, who imports oil and gas from Iran is China. Matter of fact, the Chinese get almost Them and what they don't get from Iran, they get from the other Gulf nations. You see, so if Iran is shutting down the other nations from being able to export oil, and then the United States in turn shut down Iran's ability to export oil, then you got a serious problem. It's all the way shut down. It's not shut down yet because Iran is exporting oil, and whoever is in agreement with Iran is exporting oil. It's just though the United States and the Gulf nations that are siding with the United States, those are the nations that are not allowed to export oil. So once you shut that damn Iran's exporting of oil, see, that's another critical, that's another critical, and you over there bombing on top of it, and you ain't getting no paper, you ain't getting no money, it's gonna dry up. A lot of shit gonna happen over there, okay? And it ain't gonna be good. And I can tell you that. It's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good, okay? It's not gonna be good at all. So you have that. And then and another thing, and I say that that right there is the king. That's the king of spades. To play that card. That's a king of spades. It's not the joker. It's the king. It's not even the ace. That's the king of spades. Meaning that's a big card, and that's gonna squeeze China. That's gonna squeeze India, and so they more likely they probably gonna have to go to Russia. They probably gonna have to go to Russia. They're gonna have to go to Russia because that's gonna squeeze them. That's gonna squeeze the hell out of what's going on in they. They don't give a goddamn. See, they know, United States know that they're gonna cry. They're gonna be like, well, damn, and we don't know if they done already paid. We don't know. We don't know if they done already had an agreement. And another thing, and obviously, I don't think China too much wants to depend on Russia per se, because Russia and China have never really had this rosy relationship. Because after what was it? Was it after World War II? One of them wars, Russia ends up taking land from China. Russia jumped on China one time and took land. They abused China one time and had a lot of land that they had taken from China. And I don't know if they've given that land back. I think they gave some of the land back because obviously China is bigger and stronger than what it was when they jumped on them. So I think Russia has given some of that land back, but they haven't given all of the land back. And so I still think it's some areas where China ain't so, they back Russia on the strength of Russia is its northern neighbor. And of course, you don't want no beef, and you want to have some unity with the nation above you. They probably the populations kind of blend up there on that border where some Russians on the Chinese, and they probably so mixed in, they probably Russian Chinese, so they do have a share in a population, but I don't think China want to so much depend on Russia because you don't know if you might have to get into it with their ass again. So China was talking about building this pipeline all the way to Iran. That was the mission, because they knew that what the United States could do was to shut down the Persian Gulf, because they got the Navy to do that. So that was why they was even talking about building that pipeline. And so to have the United States shut down the Persian Gulf, that's going to be devastating, not just for Iran, but for India, for China, and Japan. Now, Japan also get a large imports from Iran and out of the Persian Gulf. So, and I don't think Japan too much want to deal with Russia, because I believe, the Russians and they ain't on no good terms. Japanese and Russians ain't on no good terms. You see, so I mean that's gonna disrupt a whole lot of people. So they still that's the king of spade. Now, the ace of spade, you know what I'm saying? The ace of spade is that Karj Island, which is the hub of where they oil and their gas is located. Now they could seize that. They could seize it. They could seize it. They could blow it up. Now, if they and if they seize it, I don't know how willing Iran is to bomb the island, knowing that's the hub of their oil. You see what I'm saying? That's gonna be the hub of their oil. All of they, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, they might say, well, fuck it. If we can't have it, you can't have it. But understand that now it's one thing to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. It's one thing to shut down the Persian Gulf, but you can open it back up if you can make a deal. If you can make a deal, you can open it back up. If they bomb that shit over there on Karj Island, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. If they destroy the facilities to get the oil, it's a wrap. You're going to have to go in there and you're going to have to rebuild that, but you cannot rebuild nothing if you're in a state of war. You see, you can't rebuild shit. So if they blow it up, it's a wrap. You ain't got no money. Your money is over with. You see what I'm saying? Your money gone. So now, I mean, what's the good of saying I'm in control of the Strait of Hormuz and you ain't making it? So goddamn what? Everybody not. So now you've been bombed. You ain't making no money. And so I believe taking Karj Island, blowing it up, that's gonna be like damn near knocking out the damn nuclear plant, but just a step below that. So you got that card to play, which is an ace. You see, if you, I'm thinking about if you blow it out of there, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. You fucked up. You see what I'm saying? And it ain't no replacing it. It's gonna be a long time. So all your exports is over with. You ain't exporting shit out of there. You not exporting a damn thing. That's a wrap. China, Russia, India, Japan, they're gonna have to figure out another blueprint. You see what I'm saying? They more likely they might end up buying it from the United. And I believe that when you see what they doing and you see the United States that took over Venezuela, and Venezuela got one of the largest oil reserves. It's shit. If you don't have a broad perspective of what's going on, you won't understand some of this shit. Like, okay, I tell you what, we got large oil reserves over here in Venezuela. We'll cut you a deal. We got millions and you heard Trump say they've been leaking Venezuela. They've been leaking. They've been taking millions and millions and millions of barrels of oil out of there. So, they might strike a deal with China. They might strike a deal with Japan and literally take over a lot of their oil trade. Think about it now. Think about it. You see, they took Venezuela before they went over there. You got to see this shit from afar. People talking about they losing. Yeah, a lot of this shit could be this shit been planned out. Because you would think like, damn, they can't be that naive to do some shit like that. Nah. Couple of the jokers is knocking out the electricity over there. And if they do that first, they intend on keeping the oil for themselves. But if they knock the oil out of there, they're gonna say fuck it. If they had to knock that oil off of there, if they had to destroy the oil, they're gonna be like fuck it. They're gonna be ready to destroy that shit over there. Just real talk. If they knock out the lights, I feel if they knock out the lights and they knock out them power plants, they're going in there. They're gonna put boots on the ground. They're gonna put boots on the ground. And they going them people's gonna be over there in a disadvantage because that shit gonna be dark. It's gonna be dark. And you got the whole nation in darkness. You ain't got no communication. Man, you ain't got no air cover. Y'all niggas, man, y'all better listen to what I'm telling y'all. Man, and they go in there with that night vision, and all it they is gonna terrorize them over there, man. They're gonna be terrorized. You understand what I'm saying? And even if they don't stay over there, the destruction, man, it's gonna be, it'll be crazy destruction. It'll be crazy destruction. So I don't want people to believe at all that this is over, that even enough time has passed to even say, you know, what's really happening. You never really see what's happening in the beginning because they, you know, they lean up to what's going to happen. But I do believe that within the next 2 to 3 weeks, that the bigger cards, some of the bigger cards will be played. You know what I'm saying? You gonna see the king of spades. You're gonna see the ace come out. I believe in the next 2 to 3 weeks, you will see them, and maybe they might win with the king and the ace. You know, they might win with the king and the ace. But I believe and believe me when I tell you this. And if they knock the nuclear, they might, if they knock the nuclear out of there and the electricity, they're gonna go in. And I ain't saying they're gonna go in, they're gonna go in there, get that uranium, they're gonna go in there. And whoever left on the list that they didn't get, they're gonna punish them before they come out of there. I can guarantee you that. And people not talking about the fact that look how many, and people not talking, and I don't see how people don't see this shit. That the Israelis already got the Mossad all through Iran. How the hell do you knock off that many leaders? That many leaders without knowing where they located? You see what I'm saying? They didn't knocked off. They all, and what I heard is that a lot of the Israelis got Iranians in the Mossad. They got Arabs in the Mossad. Do you understand that? People don't even talk about that shit. They always talk about the Israelis. The Israelis got Iranians in the Mossad. That's how they know where they at. And that's crazy. That's where they got a lot of people in there, and Iranians telling them where the shit is located. You see what I'm saying? And when you got that critical element inside locating for you the critical areas where to strike, man, when they come in there, if the lights go out, they go in there, and they ain't got to stay long. When they go up in there, they're going to get everybody they supposed to get. You understand what I'm saying? And that's going to be a wrap. You know, it's going to be a wrap. It's going to be death and destruction. I don't think they're going to come out of there until they get everybody they supposed to get. You know, they're going to get everybody they supposed to get. They're going to probably topple it, you know, and that's a broad, I'm not saying that's going to be easy at all. I'm not saying it's going to be a walk in the park, but it's going to be hard for them people to be able to, they can't even fight them in the light. Yeah, they firing off shit. But then if they knock that shit out of it and they go in there, they're going to pinpoint them areas where they shooting them damn rockets. They're going to go in there and find that shit. They're going to go in there and find it, family. I'm going to tell you that. So get ready. Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for being here, and appreciate that this is just dialogue. This is an interpretation. This is a commentary based on, what I believe. Don't necessarily mean it got to go that way. Don't mean it necessarily, but take it into consideration. I appreciate y'all out there, family. Black power every day, all day. Know that to be a fact. That's the only support you gonna have over here with the general. Black power every day, all day. You see what I'm saying? Red, black, and green is the only team Let's ride out, family. Let's support one another. I'll see y'all in a minute. Hit that subscribe, hit the like button, comment, share this with your family and friends, and we be black in just a second. Boom, Black Pop.